Wait, can you guys see me now? Woo! And we're back. Can you guys see me? Okay, perfect. It's good to see you guys again. It's good to see you guys again. Are you guys having fun? Are you guys enjoying Workflow Con? How about Dawn? That was motivating. She was great. Kelly with the nuggets of information. Really good stuff there so far. We're just getting started. We are just getting started. So I'm actually curious. Drop it in the chat. Like, what's one thing you guys have taken away so far? I know we've only had 2 sessions, but from Dawn and Kelly's presentation, what's one piece of information that really stood out to you guys? Workflow, cadence. Just do it. Just start now. That's the biggest thing. So I love that because we're going to talk a little bit about that. Like, just get it done. Just start it. Don't overthink it. That's going to be a big part of like the session today that I'm going to be talking about. Making time for yourself. Automation, raise your prices. That one, I've heard that one a lot. That is important for the firms. Always be iterating. Love it. Love it. A lot of good stuff. So it sounds like you guys are enjoying Workflow Con so far. I'm glad you guys are. I want to ask a favor of you guys. If you guys are having fun, if you're finding this helpful, you think other firm owners would find Workflow Con helpful, go on social media, post about your experience, and make sure to drop the hashtag WorkflowCon 2023, just so other people can find out about what we're doing. They can join in, they can learn from these sessions. So if you get a chance and you're comfortable with it, I just want to ask, go on social media, post about WorkflowCon, drop in the hashtag WorkflowCon 2023. Okay. So, and I'm going to drop that hashtag. Let's see if I can drop that hashtag in the chat so you guys know what I'm talking about, how it looks. Boom. There it is. Okay. So let's get started with today's session. I'm going to share my screen. Present to the audience. Share screen. Perfect. You guys can see my screen, right? Let me make sure. Yep. Okay, perfect. So real quick, if you guys have any questions, try not to drop them in the chat. We have a lot of activity going on in the chat right now. So please just drop it in the question section. So right below the chat section, you'll see Q&A. That's where the best place to drop your questions. We just want to make sure they all get answered. So drop them in the Q&A. Don't drop the questions in the chat just because it gets buried in all the activity. Now, I just want to make sure I've switched back so I can see the chat. You guys can still see my presenting slide, step-by-step guide to creating your firm's internal workflows. It's not doing the infinity loop right now. Okay, perfect. That's what I wanted. So today we're going to talk about documenting your processes. This is something, it seems simple, but a lot of firms tend to struggle with it, right? It's easy to overthink it, right? We're going to talk about just doing it and just keeping it simple. So we're going to talk about creating your workflow processes with simple, quick to create checklists, and then optimizing those checklists for scale. Because at some point you're going to have to grow your firm. And you have to grow your firm, you have to document your processes. And I'm going to show you a quick and easy way that we've learned from a lot of the firms we worked with and share those insights with you guys. So let's see. Next slide. All right. So for those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Shahram Zarshenas. If you were on the welcome message, you definitely got to know me. We got to have fun together. But I'm the co-founder and CEO of Financial Sense. And we essentially help a lot of firms manage and scale their workflows. But before we built Financial Sense, we spent a lot of time interviewing hundreds of firms, really understanding what were the main workflow challenges they faced and how they overcame them. And a lot of those insights I'm going to be sharing in today's presentation, but that's basically what we use to build our product. And from then, we launched about 4 years ago. We've had a lot of traction and we serve well over 1,000 firms now. So that's a little bit about me. That's why I have experience in workflows, and that's where a lot of this information I'll be sharing today is going to be coming from. So what are we going to be learning today? So actually, let's first talk about what you're going to walk away with. And I talked about this a little bit in our welcome message. We wanted Workflow Con not just to be a conference where we talk about all this theoretical, high-level stuff. We wanted you to walk away with some actionable frameworks that you can implement in your firm, right? Stuff that you can use to take your firm to the next level, right? And today in this presentation, we're going to walk through a proven process that will allow you to easily create, optimize, and manage your workflows. It's not just a lecture, but an actionable workshop, right? I'm going to give you some tips. Okay, so let's go and then into the agenda. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about why you need checklists, right? What are the benefits? How to quickly document those processes so you're not spending weeks and all this time trying to create your processes. And then 3, the frameworks for actually optimizing those checklists for scale. So how do we create those simple checklists and then turn them into something that can help you scale your firm? And then actually how to implement and manage those checklists within your firm, because spreadsheets don't always work out so well. Okay. So the benefits of checklists, right? So why do you need them? Why do you want checklists in your firm? So the first thing is it allows you to effectively delegate client work. At some point in your firm, you're going to have to go from being an accountant or bookkeeper to an actual firm owner, right? You can't be the one that's always doing all the work. I mean, you can if you want, but if you want to like build a business that gives you that freedom and flexibility, right? Like Dawn was talking about, do you have something you're passionate about outside of your firm? Something you want to do, you just don't want to work all day, right? If you want to build that, you need to be able to effectively delegate work at some point. Whether you want to get out of the business for, passion or work-life balance, or whether you just want to focus on your business and think more strategically, right? You need to be able to effectively delegate work and have people do the work as if you were doing it yourself. That is why the main reason you need checklists. But it also ensures consistent client deliverables. You want to make sure you provide the same level of service every single month to every single client. And when you start delegating that work, you want to make sure that whoever you delegate it to, no matter what level of experience they have, does the work as if you were doing it yourself. So your client feels confident in the work. They know every month they're going to get work that fits your firm's standards, which drives happy clients, which drives more new business, referrals, growth, and success for your firm. So you can build the firm you want to build. Checklists make that possible. Third one, and I think the most important, is it creates freedom and flexibility for firm owners. Just like I was talking about with Dawn, she talked about what is your passion? What do you want to do outside of your firm? Do you want to spend time with your family? Do you want to travel? Do you want to learn a new hobby, right? You can't do that if you're stuck in your business all day. But it's also not just about that, right? If you want to scale your firm, you want to take it to that next level, you got to get out of the business. You can't be in it all day. And you're going to be in it if you're in the trenches doing the work all the time. Creating these checklists, if you can delegate work and ensure consistent deliverables as if you were doing it yourself, that allows you to pull yourself out of the business, to focus on the business. So you can work 10, 20, 30 hours a week, right? You can spend time with your family. You can travel. You could sell your business. If you want to sell your business one day, like it needs to be, you can't be the business. It needs to run without you, right? You don't want to be shackled to your firm. So creating checklists make all that possible. And being able to delegate work, maintain consistent deliverables, and work on the business, not just in the business, is how you scale your firm. You can't do it if you're stuck in that. Okay, so next slide. So what is a checklist? I mean, this is probably pretty simple, pretty basic, but a checklist is a step-by-step process that shows how your firm gets work done, right? Your monthly bookkeeping, your client onboarding, your tax returns, your payrolls. It looks something simple like this, right? This is a simple version, right? We'll get into what is an optimized version, but this is it's a step-by-step process for this example of how we do monthly bookkeeping. So anyone on your team can look at this and see, okay, this is the process I need to follow to get the work done the way we're supposed to do it for this type of client at our firm, right? So how do you quickly create these? Now, something like this, right, seems pretty simple. I can create that, but you would be surprised. I work with a lot of firm owners that really struggle to even get to this part because they overthink it, right? So that goes into our next topic, right? Keep it simple. The goal is to first lay the foundation, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to lay the foundation. So first, keep it simple. What we recommend is, because like the goal, like at the end of the day, is when it's just you, it's all in your head, right? We hear this a lot. All these processes are in my head. I hire a team member. They don't know how to do the work because I'm the only one who knows how to do it. So the first goal is just to get it out of your head onto a piece of paper or in a spreadsheet, so someone can see the process and it's not just locked away in here. So the first initial goal is just to brain dump that knowledge onto a piece of paper. But here's the thing: you start to brain dump, you start to think about all these different intricate processes, all these little steps. You start creating this long process, right? And what happens is you guys are busy. You don't have time for that. You don't want to spend weeks creating a long process. You kick the can down the road, you never actually end up doing it. So that's why we say keep it simple. You keep it simple so you lay the foundation. You have something that your team can use. You want to create that simple checklist. And then from there, you can build off it. Then you optimize it. So how do you do this, right? Well, this is what we've seen a lot of firms do that's worked really well. Sit down, remove all the distractions in your work area, get your phone, set a timer for 5 minutes. You want to constrain yourself to just 5 minutes. Again, the goal is just a brain dump, right? So start that timer, and within 5 minutes for that one process, let's say it's monthly bookkeeping, you're just going to like word vomit everything you can think of onto that piece of paper or that spreadsheet, just a little brain dump. Don't worry about the spelling. Don't worry about getting it in the right order. It doesn't need to be perfect. That's important, right? Just get it out of your head. Then after that 5 minutes are up, take a look at it. Make sure, did I miss anything important? Did I fix the spelling and the grammatical errors, and make sure everything's in the right order? What you've done within 5 minutes is document one of your core processes. If you can document one process in 5 minutes, that means you can document all your processes across your firm within an hour or two, right? How powerful would that be? I'm curious, like in the chat right now, how many of you guys have documented your processes? Are all your processes documented? Are you currently documenting your processes? Some, okay. Yep, I assume that means you documented all of them. Not all of them, but a majority. Okay. Do you guys find yourself getting stuck in this analysis paralysis state a lot of the time? Are you guys pretty good at keeping it simple? Okay, so yeah, you guys are getting it's easy, right? I do it all the time, right? But here's the thing: if you can create, like, let me go back to this. If you can create just this simple, yes, it's simple. It's not perfect, right? But if you can just create something like this for all your processes, wouldn't that be valuable for your team? Even though it's not perfect, it gives your team something to go off of, right? They don't need to depend on you, right? So if you can just do that for all your processes, that's going to lay the foundation for scale. Then let's go back. Once you've created all those, this is where you optimize, right? So now that you've spent an hour or two, you've documented all your processes from a very simple and high level. You have that foundation, and you didn't wait 2 months to do it or a year, right? Then you optimize as you have time. And here's the thing: start on the most important things that Kelly was talking about with that matrix. Just pick the things that are gonna add the most value, and then go deeper on it. So how do you optimize it, right? So the first thing you're really gonna need to do, hold on one sec, I gotta get back to the presentation, is detail every step, right? So the goal, what does an optimized checklist look like? An optimized checklist is something that you can give to someone with little to no experience, right? And they can get the work done to your same level of quality. Your client's not going to know that a different person's working on the account. I think this was coined, Richard Ropa, if you know him, he actually sets an analogy like we call the alien test. If an alien flew down to Earth, didn't know anything about anything we do, you give them our checklist or this checklist, they'd be able to get the work done, right? That's your goal with optimizing the checklist. So the first thing you really need to do is detail every step. You need to show, if we go back, in this process, how you actually do every single one of these steps, how you prep the AP, review the AR, categorize and categorize transactions, reconcile the accounts, right? Because your team's not going to know how to do that. They don't know what app to use. They don't know what stages to go. Like, documenting those processes and detailing every step is how your team's going to know exactly how to actually do everything in the process. So here's the thing, though. This is where a lot of firms really struggle, right? Even if they are able to create their simple checklists, they start to get into it and they start to detail every step. But they end up with these long, like dozens of pages, Word documents, Google Docs with screenshots, descriptions, steps. I mean, they're great. Don't get me wrong. Like, they're effective. They do the job. But here's the problem. Like we talked about, you guys are busy. You don't have time to sit down for weeks to create some long 40-page SOP document, right? Take all these screenshots, format everything. That takes too much time. It works, but like it never happens, because to do this for all your processes in your firm, you have to hire someone to do it, or you're going to have to make time to do it. And that cuts with what time do you have, right? So what we've found works really well is to use video. So Loom is very popular. I don't know if you guys know about Loom, but Loom is, its best part, one, it's free, so you can all use it, and it's easy to use, right? I learned how to use it in 2 minutes. It's very powerful. And there's other capabilities we can talk about how you can use Loom in your firm, but it's great for documenting your processes. So you ever hear like the phrase, a picture's worth 1,000 words? Well, a video's worth 1,000,000, right? Because like, to really get every detail in that Word document, I mean, it's going to be like extremely long. It's going to be hard to digest. It's going to take a lot of time to create. But with a Loom video, whoever's watching can see every single little step you take, every button you click. You can narrate it, like what's important in a short. It's concise, right? It's simple. And the best part is it doesn't take any time to create, because you actually record yourself as you're actually doing the work for the client. So you're creating your process for the work as you're doing the work. So you don't actually have to like set time aside to create this Word document, take these screenshots and format everything. So it's really powerful. It's more detailed. It's easier to digest, and it's easier to create. And like, just to give some tips, because like I know a lot of people that do this, and like I struggled with this at first when I was documenting my processes. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're not creating a video you're going to put online for the world to see. It's just for your team. So if you have some bloopers, you say something, just correct yourself and move on. Don't try to make the video perfect, because then you're just going to end up trying to create a bunch of like remaking the same video for hours until like you get everything right. It doesn't have to be perfect. And actually with Loom, they just released this a few months ago. You can actually edit stuff out now pretty easily. So if you do make a mistake, you can go back and edit it out if you really want to. I don't think it's necessary though. Another tip: narrate what's important as you're talking through. Talk about why you're doing it, so your team actually gets the context behind it. 3, don't reinvent the wheel. If it's a common process, like how you do something in QuickBooks Online, there's probably a YouTube video out there. There's a lot of great people that create videos on how to do certain things in certain apps. So just borrow one of those videos and put it in your process. You don't even have to create it, right? So video is powerful. It's easier. It's better. Check out Loom if you haven't already used it. It's great for documenting processes, but I know a lot of firms are also using it for client deliverables. People are using it to share reports with their clients and talk through the reports. So you don't have to actually schedule a call and sit down with them, and they can rewatch it as many times as they want, and they're not following up. So there's a lot of really great things you can do with Loom, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So what's next, right? So we've actually so we first created our simple workflows. Then we had, like, let's say those 10 steps in the monthly bookkeeping. We created a detailed walkthrough video of how to complete each step, right, in that workflow, in that 10-step monthly bookkeeping workflow. Now what you need to do is add the needed information. So one big thing we say at Financial Sense: to get work done, you don't just need to know what to do, you need to know how to do it. Or sorry, no, you don't need to just know what to do and how to do it. You need to have the information to actually do it, right? So for example, manage uncategorized transactions. Okay, you know how to do it, but is there an app you need to access? Well, okay, you need a link to that app. The person's going to need it, right? Don't need the login information for that app. Maybe you need to ask the client something, or there's some type of client communication. Is there an email template you want them to use? Because you want to keep that standard like tone of your firm and your brand on brand. Contact information. They need to reach out to the client. Okay, what's their phone number? Email. Is it, how do I reach out to them? Documents. If they need them documents, they need access to all this information. It's important you store it in the workflow, because we see this a lot. As your firm grows and you have new people in the team, all this information starts to get stored in all these random places. It's in a folder somewhere. It's locked away in my email or Slack or text message. It's on some sticky note. It's in some Word document somewhere. No one can find the information they need. So you need to take all this information for each step and put it into the workflow so you can give it to someone. They know exactly how to do the work, and they have everything they need to do the work without ever involving you in the process. The goal is to eliminate yourself from the entire process, right? And if they have to come and ask you to get access to an app or find a document, it's pointless, right? So you need to add the information in the actual workflow. And that's going to look something like this. Right? Oh, sorry. So you're going to take this, which is our simple checklist, and you're going to turn it into something like this if you're using a spreadsheet, right? So request the bank transactions, right? Or the bank credit card loan statements. Walkthrough video. This is where that Loom video goes of how to actually do the work, this little step. Okay, well, you got to request it from the client. So you can either name, email, phone number, potentially. What is the email template? So what is the tone? What is the brand? How do we communicate with the client? And I even like to add in like a high level process, right? How often to follow up, right? So they don't have to watch the video. For this one, when you receive the documents, where do you upload them? Link to the document management system. What is the app? What is the login information for certain types of steps? So your team has everything they need to get that work done. And that is how you quickly create and document all your workflow processes. So just to recap that, right? First, you start small. Keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Give yourself 5 minutes to really create something that's just you transferring that knowledge onto a piece of paper. Something laying the foundation for your team to use. Don't overthink it. If you try to do it all at once in the beginning, you're never going to do it. Trust me. Then you can optimize it when you have time after the fact, and start with the most important workflows, the ones that are going to have the highest impact first, right? You might not need to optimize every single workflow, right? Focus on the core processes that your firm does the most. Add in all the information, create the walkthrough videos so they know how to do it, how to actually complete each step, and they have all the information to do it. And if you do that, you'll be able to effectively delegate work. You'll be able to maintain work quality at scale to keep your clients happy, continue to drive growth, right? Even if you're hiring new people, you'll be able to onboard people faster. You can trust them with the work. And you'll get the freedom and flexibility to focus on your business, to grow and think strategically, or to spend more time with your family, to travel, to really have that freedom and flexibility that you want as being a business owner. You don't want to be shackled to your business, right? And that's going to help you scale your firm. So we talked about creating the workflows. And if there is some workflow templates in our resources, if you guys go back and check it out, it's great stuff. But now let's talk about managing your checklist, right? So you've created your you did it on a spreadsheet or you did it on a piece of paper, right? You need to manage your workflows. And spreadsheets and paper doesn't really work well at scale, right? You start delegating work to people. If you're using spreadsheets, they may save a copy. And now there's 2 different versions of the spreadsheet. Maybe you make improvements to the master file. They don't realize that. So they have this unupdated version. It creates redundancies. It creates mistakes. They're cumbersome to maintain. And that's actually why we created Financial Sense. We found a lot of firms were documenting or trying to document the processes, but they didn't have a good way to manage them and to delegate that work and to track that work. And that's where Financial Sense was born. We help firms manage their checklists, track the status of work, and just really scale their workflows. So now I kind of want to show you a little bit of how we do that in these last like 5 or so minutes, or because I want to leave some questions for time for Q&A. So let me go to Share this tab instead. Okay. So you guys can see financial sense. Perfect. All right. I can see that now. Um, so inside financial sense, one of the things I took you straight to our workflow template library. So one of the most important things about having your workflows is you need that central library for you to have all your workflow templates. Because like Kelly was talking about earlier, you want to iterate, you want to improve over time. So you need that master file where you can go and update these templates over time. So like you can see your monthly bookkeeping process, and then you can add a new task, you can rearrange your order, you can update them, add more information, and then your team will be able to access these templates as you go. But here's the cool thing. So Kelly talked about this feature in her presentation. One is we have a lot of templates already. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. A lot of processes are similar. So if you sign up for Financial Sense, we actually have best practice templates that you can use and you can customize to fit your firm. But let's say we don't have a template, but you want to create one. Instead of sitting down and doing it yourself, we have this cool AI feature which makes it simple. So maybe like in this example, you want to create a monthly bookkeeping checklist with QuickBooks, or payroll in Gusto, or a 1040 tax return in Drake software. You can type that in here, right? And then we'll use AI by searching the web and seeing the most commonly created templates to create that process for you. So this just created a monthly bookkeeping template, and you can try it. If you don't like it, retry it, and then create that template, and boom, I just created a process checklist on how to do monthly bookkeeping in QuickBooks Online. Took 2 seconds. Now, what's also cool, let's say you don't want to use AI, but you have already documented your processes, but you want to get out of spreadsheets because they're cumbersome, it becomes redundant. It's not an effective way to manage your spreadsheets. You can create one from scratch. So let's just create a test monthly bookkeeping. And let's say I'm going to share this tab. I created my monthly bookkeeping checklist I showed you in the presentation. I can copy those steps. Okay, back to sharing. I can then just paste those steps into here, and it creates that checklist for me. So you can also easily transfer your checklist from your spreadsheets to Financial Sense. We make it very easy and simple to do. So now let's get back. So let's talk a little bit about the other parts of this, right? We talked about. So you have all your documented processes that live in our library. But let's talk about the actual work itself. So like we talked about, everything related to the work needs to live on the work. So the step-by-step videos, the passwords and usernames for the apps, the links to the documents. So we believe in that here at Financial Sense. And if you click into a project, so let's click into this was one of our monthly bookkeeping for our client, Adeline Collins. We have that process checklist that came from the checklist template I showed you earlier. Your team you can assign the individual steps to specific team members. So you can have individual due dates. They can mark it completed as they go along, which keeps people in the loop and lets them know when their work is ready to begin. You can click in and see like additional information. Like this is a link to the Loom video. I don't know if that's an actual Loom. Yeah, so it takes me to the Loom video. Subtasks, some of the automations Kelly was talking about. So you have your process. But here's the thing, it's not just about your process, it's about the information related to the work that your team needs to get the work done. So you can have your team communication. What is everyone saying? All the context about the works, important updates you need to know when your team is doing the work, documents related to the work, emails. So if a client sends you an email related to the monthly bookkeeping Adeline Collins did, I can pin it to the work. So when my team is working, they can see that conversation I had with the client via email. So they have that context in those documents and attachments. You can also link to other apps and resources. So we know not everything is going to live in Financial Sense. So you can link to apps. You can link to, if you do have an SOP document already, you can link to that SOP document. You can link to that Loom file here. You can link to Google Drive where your documents live, right? So you can your team can easily access all the external and internal information they need to get their work done. And this is how you stay organized at scale. This is how you empower your team to be productive and get work done. And let's say it's not just work-related information, it's client-related information. They can click the client's name, see all the past meeting notes, other work, contact information, right? About field, entity type, EIN numbers. You even have the client vault where you can see all the passwords, usernames, and security questions for all their apps, which is encrypted and securely stored here, right? So your team has all the information they need to get their work done, and then they can get back to their work. So that's the how we design FC to help your firm manage the workflows. You have your process library, you have your work with the processes, and everything needed to complete the work on the work. And from the highest level as a firm owner or manager, you can track everything your team is working on, who's working on what, where it stands, to make sure your firm is hitting your deadlines. And there's a lot more we do, like with time tracking, email integration, the client database reporting. There's a lot we do, but that's like the core, right? And that's why we talk a lot about workflow. We really want to help firms manage the workflows better. So I'm going to stop sharing. Here, actually, I'm not done yet. Share screen. So if you guys want to learn more about Financial Sense, you can always go to the website, start a free trial. But I will say our team is, so if you have questions about Financial Sense, you think it could be interesting for your firm, you can go to the booth. So when you leave this session, you'll see at the top where it says like resources and stuff, you'll see a booth. Click that. And our team is actually at that booth, and you can talk to them via video. You can ask questions. They can tell you more about the product. You can schedule a demo. If you do schedule a demo, there is, during the conference through the portal, there is a discount and free onboarding.
After that, all covered, you have basically your commission account is all well organized, and you have your.
Hold on, it sounds like okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what that was, but I'm open forward to questions. Again, if you guys are enjoying WorkflowCon, go on social, hashtag WorkflowCon 2023 so other people can hear about it. What'd you guys think? Was that a good presentation? Was that insightful? Let me know. I loved it. This is fun. Okay, everyone's loving it. I'm glad you guys are loving the content so far. You know, we've got some awesome presenters. I'm gonna pop into the QA real quick. Let's see. So this is coming up a lot. Every one of these sessions will be recorded. If you miss a session, that's okay. We're gonna have the recordings. We're gonna put it on our YouTube channel. Rose, thanks. Yeah, it's been a fun 4 years. Crazy journey. How do we get the templates? So if you go to resources, we have a bunch of templates in Excel spreadsheets, but if you start a free trial in Financial Sense, all those templates are already built into the system. And again, we also have the AI features that we talked about. What is the best way to update, optimize processes once they're, remember, if you have questions, don't drop them in the chat, drop them in the Q&A section because they're buried. We're never going to find them in there. What is the best way to update, optimize processes once they are already in place? We try to focus on client-facing issues first. Let me stop my screen share. Okay. We try to focus on client-facing issues first and go from there. So I think the best way to update and optimize processes once they are already in place is see where the issues are happening, just like you said, Josh, right? Ask your client. So with one of our new features, you can actually send an email to a client once a certain task is completed. We are having a lot of firms send survey feedbacks, like surveys, like to get feedback. Hey, how was this work? How can we improve? And you get feedback from your client, understand how can you make the process better on the client end. But it's not just about the client, it's also about your team, right? They need to understand the process. It needs to be simple for them as well. So ask your team, like, is this process working? The people in the trenches are going to know a little bit better. Like, there might be a better way to do something. So lean on your team. That's what we typically do for our internal process. We're not a firm, but like we document our processes, very similar to you guys. So we ask the team, how can we do things better? Yes, Financial Sense does include standardized templates. Our automation emails available for dependency tasks for your team or just clients. So one cool thing about Financial Sense, when work switches hands, if you have like assignees, when like the original signee completes his task, it will automatically send an email and in-app notification to the next team member that the previous task is completed and he can begin his work. So yes, there are automated emails to your team members to let them know when their work is ready to begin, as well as for your clients that can be customized, where you can send links to schedule meetings and all types of other great things. Like people use it for the feedback surveys. People use it for updating their clients on information, schedule calls, whatever it may be. Does anyone use password manager, or do you just store this info in Financial Sense? So this is a good question, and it really depends, right? Some people love using LastPass. I use LastPass, but what I've found some firm owners say is if they have like 100 clients and all those are in LastPass, it's really annoying because it autofills like all those and you have to scroll to find them. So I know some firms that like LastPass because it autofills, but some firms don't want that autofill functionality because it's too much because they have so many clients. So they use our password manager, but it's preference. Our automation emails, okay, we already talked about that one. Yes, and that's built in. You don't have to turn on that dependency. Does your checklist always form the basis for your project in FC, or do you have some checklists in addition? So the checklist does form the basis for your project in Financial Sense. But here's the thing. Once you create the work from that checklist for a specific client, you create the work for a specific client, you can customize it to that client. And you can set all that work to recur. So it's monthly bookkeeping. That checklist will auto create every month, and it will include those changes that are tailored to that client. So this is something you don't get in spreadsheets. Over time, as you continue to update the spreadsheet, it's like the spreadsheet gets smarter and it keeps those improvements. And a year from now, like you're iterating and you've improved your checklist or it's really dialed in. Does FC allow autofill on passwords? We do not. How did you link the email to a project? So you do that with our email integration. That's something I would talk to sales about. I mean, or reach out to our team. They can show you how that works. But you can do it with our email integration, and it works with Gmail and Outlook. How do we? There's a lot of questions. I love it. How do we set up our email if we use domain-specific businesses email and Outlook? So you'll just integrate with your Outlook. If you use Outlook Online or Exchange, I believe Exchange, it should work. So you just basically integrate it. It's very simple. Reach out to our team. They can show you how to do it. Is there a better way to handle one-off tasks? Or is there a way to bring in workflow items from XCM directly? So if you're switching from another platform, XCM or anything else out there, our team can actually migrate all that data for you. So if you're interested, talk to our team and they can do that. And that's part of like the special we're running for Workflow Con. If you do decide to schedule a demo and sign up, we'll waive that fee. So does the team have access to client passwords and logins? You can choose. We have customized user permissions for everything across the app, so you can control what certain users can see and do. Where is it? So we do have client portal and document management. We are improving on that. We're adding file and folder sharing. We're adding folder sharing. I didn't talk about the client portal piece, but we do have that built in. Talk to the team, and there's a lot of big improvements coming for that. We are working on a Canadian template package. We haven't created it yet. Maybe we'll lean on Kelly Parks for that because she's in Canada and she's the workflow whiz. But yeah, we are planning on creating some Canadian templates. But if you need them now, go to Kelly Parks' website. She has some great Canadian templates. We do also have e-signature. I see someone asked that. We integrate with Adobe Sign, so you can send e-signature requests from in the app, and when they sign it, the signed copy will come back in as well and be organized on the work. What about integrating? So there's a lot of questions. I think I gotta hop off for the next speaker. Actually, no, it is an open session. We have a break. Okay, so we can keep going. But if you guys do have questions and we don't get them, go to our booth inside the Workflow Com portal, talk to our team. They can actually run through things. I'm going to try to get through these next three in the next ones in the next 3 minutes. But if you have more questions, you can talk to our team at the booth. So make sure you go check it out. How do you know which processes to purchase? Do you not purchase the entire package? Lynn, what do you mean by processes? I'm not exactly sure. So if you do sign up, you get all the processes in our app. For Kelly, you may have to talk with her if you're looking at her templates for Canada. How to customize what's in the email that goes to a client. So that would be something, I can't show that now just for the sake of time, but if you schedule time with our team, they can walk you through that if you want to learn more about that, Diane. OneDrive, Carissa. So one big thing about Financial Sense is we know we're not going to have all the information. I showed you that resources section, but a part of that is we want to have deeper integrations. So we will have our own document management and portal feature, but we know you may like OneDrive, you may like Google Drive, you may like SharePoint, you may like SmartVault. So we do integrate with SmartVault, but we're going to be releasing Google Drive, OneDrive, SharePoint, all those integrations, so you can access your folder storage inside financials, within Financial Sense. Click and open your OneDrive files for that client, or your Google Drive files, or your SharePoint files. So, because again, a big thing is creating that organized hub. You want one place for your team to go to access all the information they need to get their work done. That's how you stay organized. That's how you empower your team to get work done. It's just like we talk about these checklists. They need to know how to do it, and they need to have all the information to do it. When all the processes are set up in Financial Sense and need to be updated, what are the fastest way to update them when they are already all set to recurring? So there's multiple ways to do this. We're working on making this easier, but the best way to do this would probably be to, in my opinion, depending on how many you have set up, is to delete that work and recreate it with the new existing template, and then copy it across all the clients and set it to recur. But we are working on some ways to improve that. But it's either that or individually going and updating them after you've created all the work. Do you have any specific specials during WorkflowCon if I want to add a team member to my account? If you're already an existing customer, unfortunately, we don't have any specials right now. But if you're not a customer, we do have, I believe, a discount going on, and we're waiving onboarding. Do you plan to add a client portal and document management? Yes. So we do have already client portal for automating client requests, so you don't have to chase down your clients. We are releasing in the next 4 to 6 weeks folder sharing, where you can share folders and your client can upload and view folders, right? And we have e-signature. So we do have a lot of that capability, but we're going deeper on that. Does your team have access to all? We talked about this one. You can customize the user permissions. Is there a better way to handle one-off tasks, something that needs to be done in response to an email? This is a really good question, right? Because it's not just work all the time. There's random one-off tasks that come out. If you're doing it in our system, I mean, the best way to create like a MISC project where you have all these tasks and you don't give it a due date, so it sits at the top, right? But we are working on some functionality and trying to figure out how can we create like a, let's call it not work, but to-dos, right? Where it's like little one-off things you want to be able to follow up on and get done and track. So that is coming. Okay, I've been spitfiring these questions. So someone asked, how do you sign up for a demo? So when you leave this and you see like the main WorkflowCon screen, and I forgot what the caption is, you'll see like a snippet that says like schedule a demo, talk to our team. That's where you can do that. Okay, so it looks like we're ending the session. We have a little bit of a break, so you have some time to go talk to the booth. You have time to go post on social if you want. But we got the amazing Nio Carter-Gray coming up next. She's great. I love her energy. Y'all are going to love her. She's got a great topic to talk about. If you guys have any other questions I didn't get to, you can message me directly or reach out to our team on the website or inside at the booth inside the conference portal. But until then, I think I got another session with you guys later. So I'll see y'all later and tomorrow. So you guys take care and keep enjoying WorkflowCon.